Lesson 66. My happiness and my function are one.
Hi there. Have you ever thought about how our happiness could be connected to fulfilling our life's purpose? That's exactly what Lesson 66 explores.
My happiness and my function are one.
In our previous lessons, we've touched on the theme that fulfilling our function and achieving happiness are intertwined. Today's lesson takes this a step further, asserting a more profound truth: fulfilling our function and achieving happiness are not just connected, they are essentially the same. While they may appear different in form, their content is identical. We need to understand that there is a constant struggle between the ego and the Holy Spirit over the definition of our function. And since fulfilling our function and our happiness are one and the same, this struggle between the ego and the Holy Spirit is essentially about what our happiness is. This isn't truly a battle, as the ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. The Holy Spirit knows what our function is, and He understands that our function is our happiness. Today, we'll strive to move beyond this meaningless conflict and discover the truth about our function. We'll ignore the ego's attempts to deter us from uncovering this truth. We won't get entangled in futile attempts to define happiness and the means to achieve it. Instead, we'll rejoice in the opportunity to learn what truth really is. In today's extended practice, we will explore and embrace the concept that our function and our happiness are not just connected, they are the same. God gives us only happiness. Thus, the function He has assigned to us must also be happiness, even if it might not seem so at first glance. But with today's exercise, we aim to look beyond appearances to recognize the shared essence of our function and happiness. We'll strive to see that they are in fact one and the same. Let's begin our 10 to 15 minute practice by reflecting on these thoughts.
God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness.
Let's try to understand the logic in this sequence, even if we're not fully convinced by the conclusion yet. Let's consider the premises.
God gives me only happiness.
This premise rests on the belief that God provides only happiness. While it's possible to think that this might not be true, doing so would require misdefining God. Love, by its nature, cannot give evil, and God can only bestow what is inherent to Him. Consequently, God extends only happiness, as He is the embodiment of love, and love cannot give anything that isn't good. To suggest that God could deliver anything other than good contradicts His very essence. It would be defining God as something He is not. The second premise is that God has given us our function.
He has given my function to me.
In our previous lessons, we've come to understand that there are only two parts of our mind. One governed by the ego, filled with illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit, where truth resides. These are the only two guides from which we can choose. We are faced with the choice of which voice to heed, a decision we make anew at each holy instant. And depending on what we choose to listen, the outcome will vary accordingly. When we listen to the ego, the result is fear. When we listen to the Holy Spirit, the result is love. What we perceive as our function, whether consciously or subconsciously, is established either by the Holy Spirit or by the ego. But, given that the ego itself is an illusion, can it truly offer anything other than illusions? Let's think about this during our longer practice session today. Let's think about the many forms, the illusions of what we believe our function was. Let's think about the many ways which we tried to find salvation following the guide of our ego. Did we find it? Were we happy? Did they bring us peace? Let's be honest today. Let's remember what happened when we followed our ego's guidance. Was it ever a good idea to trust the ego's suggestions for finding happiness? Did it ever keep the promises it made us? Yet, now we know we have an alternative. There's an alternative to listening to the ego's voice. We can choose to listen to the Holy Spirit's voice in the other part of our mind. Let's make this choice as we practice today, while reflecting on the two premises and their conclusion.
God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness.
Today's idea represents another step towards seeing things clearly. On one side lie all illusions, and on the other, all truth. Today, let's strive to understand that only the truth is true.
God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness.
Let's aim to practice our shorter sessions twice an hour today. We just need to repeat to ourselves.
My happiness and function are one, because God has given me both.
Mindfully contemplate these words for a minute or even less, repeating them and truly considering their meaning.
My happiness and my function are one.
My happiness and my function are one.
My happiness and my function are one.
Isn't that wonderfully simple yet profound? Have you ever encountered a more powerful link between our happiness and the fulfilling of our function in life? Imagine how this understanding could transform your days from now on. You're doing great! See you tomorrow for another enlightening lesson. Quick reminder, if you haven't yet watched the introduction to this video series, be sure to do so, as it lays the foundation for our journey together. Just click on the video link that will appear on your screen shortly.
Did you enjoy the video and find it helpful? Please give it a like and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We have a new lesson every day. And if you've been with us for a while, please consider supporting the channel. There's a lot of love behind these videos. Check out the video description for more details.